So the Google Pixel 7a. Honestly, I think it's a device that's very underrated. I've been spending a few weeks with it, and I'm hearing a lot of bad advice out there, but today I'm here to give you a full review and let you know how this phone stacks up on the market and if it's worth buying here in 2023, especially with a lot of competition, even in the US, in that mid-range market. So I'm gonna give you my full thoughts here. So with all that being said, let's get right into it and let's talk about the Google Pixel 7a. So in this review, I'm going to talk about a lot of the terrible advice I'm seeing out there from reviewers. I'm hearing a lot of reviewers that are giving you short-term advice that may only be applicable for like a week or two. But first, let's just start by talking about the phone itself and how good it is on its own merit. And if we look at the design of this phone, you're going to see that it looks nearly identical to the Google Pixel 7. There's not a lot of differences. The back of it, of course, it's not the same exact glass back that the Google Pixel 7 has, but it feels the same. It's not the same, but look, it feels exactly like the Google Pixel 7. Like there is not a significant difference between the two. And when you look at other things like the display size, the Google Pixel 7a is a little bit smaller on the display size, but the dimensions of the 7a and the 7, they're almost identical because the 7a does have slightly larger bezels, so that does make the phones about the same size, if you get what I'm saying. So it really looks almost identical on the front, almost identical on the back. The buttons look very similar. There's not a lot of differences between this and the Google Pixel 7, and that is not a bad thing because that phone released for $600 retail price, and we get this phone here for $500. It comes in a little bit cheaper, but with a lot of similarities. But we have to consider that this is going to have slightly worse materials on the device compared to the Google Pixel 7. Like this technically has a plastic back, even though it feels like glass. This does have, yes, Gorilla Glass in the front, but it's not quite as durable. It's the older Gorilla Glass 3, so it could technically crack a little bit easier than the Google Pixel 7. But realistically, these differences are going to be minor to your average person, especially someone that just throws a case on their phone anyway. And if you look at performance, this phone performs very, very well, especially compared to other mid-range devices, because this does have the Tensor G2 processor. It has 8 gigabytes of RAM, just like the Google Pixel 7. So again, there's not a lot of differences there, and I'll cover all the differences in a future video. But my main thing I wanted to just say is this device, it flies through most things I want to do. Of course, the Tensor G2, it can get a little bit warm as far as the processor, so that is one thing to keep in mind. I did notice that it would get a little bit toasty if I was doing some extra stuff, or if I was in the heat, I was driving around in my car with the sun beaming down while I'm GPSing. Those things would make the phone pretty warm. If you're charging the phone while you're doing that, you're playing some very, very intense games, sure, the phone is going to get warm, but it's not so warm that it's going to burn you or something. It's not so warm that it's actually abnormal or anything like that. It's actually pretty normal at the heat that comes out of it. You just have to understand that this phone will get a little bit warmer than the newer Snapdragon chips that are out there. But when you're looking around $500, I really just think you're looking for a phone that is really fast. For me, I'm looking for a phone that I could recommend to anyone and they're not going to notice a lot of flaws in it. They will notice if they're using this phone, if you're using this phone, or if I use it. Like, it's fast. It is very, very fast when you're doing your basic stuff. It has Google software, which is great. It has all those extra Google features, which I like. So whether it's the hold for me option or Google's voice dictation, a lot of people like that. There's a lot of awesome Google features out there. Even if you use the Magic Eraser. I was magic erasing like penguins from the zoo, okay? And it actually worked pretty well. So there's a lot of really good features in a Google phone. So people are gonna love the software because it's very simplistic. And I know when I use a Samsung phone, for example, it's really, really difficult when they would have apps for everything. They would have apps that Google would have, like Google Pay, but then they also have Samsung Pay. And whenever you swipe up on your navigation gestures, Samsung Pay would pop up. Little things like that are frustrating for a normal consumer when they don't know what service to use or what messaging service to use, when they don't know if they should use Google services or Samsung's. So it is nice just to have Google services on this phone and not much else. Just to have a basic set of apps, a basic software set, basic animations that are nice and smooth. That's what I love about this phone. It's very simplistic, and whenever you're using it, it is so fast. Of course, Google is giving this phone very good software support as well, at least 3 big operating system updates. And when you go beyond that, the display is really nice too. It is OLED, it is very bright, it looks very good. Again, it's about similar brightness to the Google Pixel 7, and I really like it. And the one benefit to the Google Pixel 7a here is the fact that the screen size is a little bit smaller. But if you make a phone bigger in size and then you just have bigger bezels to technically make the screen smaller, I wasn't too excited about that prospect. But when I did start to use it, I did realize that the smaller screen, because from top to bottom on the screen, it is going to be a little bit smaller than the Google Pixel 7 screen. So I was able to use that with one hand a little bit easier than I was using the Google Pixel 7 screen. So I do like the screen size being a little bit smaller than the Google Pixel 7, and again, it looks really nice. The colors are really accurate, and this phone, it just has a lot to offer. It ticks all the basic boxes. The screen is great. The design is great, and it feels like a flagship design because the back, it feels like glass anyway, right? And if you look at performance, performance is very, very good. You have Google's flagship chip, so it's going to do great. Gaming on this phone, again, if you push this to the very highest limits of gaming, or if you push the performance to the very highest limits, sure, you might have a little bit of hiccups, but this phone, it's not about pushing benchmarks. It's about real life usage. And when you use this phone in real life, you will see that it works great in your day-to-day stuff. So Google is ticking all the basic boxes here, and they're giving you everything you need, and they're just cutting out some little things that you don't need. Do we really need that extra Gorilla Glass Victus on the front? A lot of people don't. You just put a good screen protector on your device. Do you really need the back to be made of glass? Glass breaks pretty easily, right? So the compromises that Google made, it wasn't all that bad on the Google Pixel 7a. They even have wireless charging. They have a 90 Hz refresh rate on the screen, which is great. The resolution is 2400 by 1080, just like the Google Pixel 7. So there's a lot to like. Now, I don't like that they really made 60 Hz the basic option. So you actually have to go into the settings and turn on the higher refresh rate if you want it. I don't love that. But outside of that minor inconvenience, they really cut out the right things on this phone. They gave us what we wanted. We wanted a little bit of a higher refresh rate. We wanted a very fast phone with a great display, with a lot to like about the design, and we're getting all of those things. If you go beyond that and even go to the fingerprint sensor, it's not ultrasonic, but it does work very, very well. The fingerprint sensor is very, very fast. I think the haptics are good. The speakers are pretty good on this phone as well. And the battery life, it's not great, but it is good. It is a little bit bigger than the Google Pixel 7. It's a 4,385 milliamp battery, but the battery life is good. Again, I wish it was a little bit better. Maybe some other budget phones out there, like the Galaxy A54 from Samsung, that may have a little bit of better battery life, but I also think that phone will be a little bit slower too. So this is really checking all the boxes for an average person, and I really, really like the feature set that Google is providing, and they even upgraded the cameras on this. Now, they did make a different camera set. Normally, Google just makes all their devices have the same cameras for the most part. You might have Google's cheaper budget cameras and then Google's better cameras, but a lot of times they're very, very similar. Well, now Google changed it up with a brand new sensor. It's a 64 megapixel camera on this device, and the pictures, they come down to about 16 megapixels. But whenever you use the camera, you'll see there are some pros and some cons to this camera. The camera is very, very good. I'd say the quality is going to be very, very similar to the Google Pixel 7. Some people like the photos more. Some people like them a little bit less. I think the video quality is ever so slightly worse than the Google Pixel 7, but these are massive improvements over the Google Pixel 7a. So your average consumer, if you're out there and you're looking for a good phone, this has a ton of great things about it. But the one thing that people are having an issue with is the price point. So it starts at $499. I think that's a very, very fair price if you think about it, because the Google Pixel 6a was seen as a really good value at $450, but the big thing people didn't like about it was the fact that it had a 60 hertz refresh rate. They also didn't like that you don't get wireless charging with it. Well, Google added wireless charging to this phone. It's very slow wireless charging, but the Google Pixel 7a does have wireless charging. They added a 90 hertz refresh rate. Even if you have to go into the settings to turn it on, it's there. So they have a better refresh rate, they have wireless charging there, so they're really adding the features that we wanted. And they really just upped the price $50 compared to the Google Pixel 6a. Well, now we've seen the Google Pixel 7 go on sale. A lot of sales bringing it down to like $550 or $500 at times. So when they see those sales on the Google Pixel 7, they say, why would I spend the same price on the Google Pixel 7a when I could get a Pixel 7 on sale? Or some people, they see the Pixel 7 for $50 more or even $100. And a lot of reviewers, I hate their advice. They're saying, don't buy the Google Pixel 7a. Don't buy it. Buy a Pixel 7. Do this, do that. And they're thinking 1 week ahead, and they're not thinking in the long run. The Google Pixel 7a is going to go on sale, people. Just like the Google Pixel 7 went on sale. The 7a will go on sale, and I want the advice I give you to last more than 1 week, okay? So yes, if you see the Google Pixel 7 and the Google Pixel 7a at the same price, technically speaking, the Google Pixel 7 is a little bit better. I don't think your average person would notice most of those differences, but the Google Pixel 7 is worth buying. If you're looking around that $500 price range, I would recommend you pick up the Google Pixel 7. But if you see the Google Pixel 7a for $50 cheaper, for $100 cheaper, or if it goes on sale even beyond that for $200 cheaper, $150, I think all of those cases really make you consider the Google Pixel 7a. Some of you prefer a slightly smaller screen so that you could reach the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen a little bit easier with one hand. That is a big advantage of the Google Pixel 7a. And if you're someone who doesn't really use wireless charging and you don't really care about the charging speed like that, that's really one of the only bigger differences that these two phones really have. Outside of that, you're not going to see a lot of significant differences that you're going to notice anyway. So for me, I would gladly pay $50 less or $100 less for the Google Pixel 7a and save that money. If you want to future-proof yourself and just buy it for an extra $100, well, go ahead. Buy the Google Pixel 7 if you see it for that price difference. But a lot of people just need to save the money. If you think about how much $100 is to your average person, it is a lot. Like, it is a lot of money. So for your average person, I would absolutely recommend you buy the Google Pixel 7a if it's $100 cheaper and save that money and get that instead of the Google Pixel 7. If you want a little bit better video quality or a little bit faster charging speeds, if those things are important, sure, buy the Google Pixel 7. But for a lot of you out there, I really think it depends on price. I really want you to see that the Google Pixel 7a is a terrific device. It's a terrific device for the money, and the sales of the Google Pixel 7 does not change that. So it doesn't change my advice for the future. If you see the 7a and it goes on sale for any amount cheaper than it is now, I would highly recommend it. And I would still recommend it at its price today, as long as you see it a little bit cheaper than that Google Pixel 7. So hopefully this advice does help you. Hopefully you did enjoy this review. Please give it a like and give me a sub. That would mean a lot to me and my channel. Another way you can support me, it really does mean a lot as a human being, okay? To use those links in the description, those are affiliate links and I may earn a little bit of commission off those, and that does help to support my family. So thanks again for that. Thank you for considering that, and thank you for watching my videos. If you get a little more time, check out some more videos as well. I hope you have a great day, and pretty soon I will have a Google Pixel 7 and Google Pixel 7a comparison up, so check that out as well. Have a good one.